So, hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio Reading and for my YouTube channel. And I'm super excited to be joined by the very talented Laurie Brett. How are you, Laurie? Welcome along.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join. Yes, very well, thank you.
Now we've got a lot to talk about, but we must start off on your latest project, which is, of course, Calendar Girls, the musical. I mean, for you, when you were kind of pitched the idea, how did you become involved in this project?
Oh, it was Jonathan O'Boyle, who's a director I'd worked with before, approached me about doing it, and sent me the script, and I heard some of the music, and I said yes to the job. I haven't sang in over about 20 years, really properly, so it was an opportunity for me to get my voice going again, and it's a great bunch of people. So yeah, so it was just literally that. I knew the director, and he wanted me to come in and do it.
I mean, I had the pleasure of seeing the show a few years back when it was, I think it was on its first run, and it was Denise Welsh and Fern Britton were doing the show. Obviously, music by Gary Barlow. So it must have been very tempting to be involved in this show because it's quite a new format in that it wasn't a musical, it was obviously a film, but I mean, to be involved must be quite nice. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, just kind of tell us a little bit about the story.
It's about some women of the WI, and Annie, the character I play, her husband has blood cancer and sadly passes away. And in the hospital relatives room, there's a really bad, battered old sofa, and it's quite lethal. The springs hanging out and all that sort of thing. And they decide to raise some money to buy a new one for the relatives room. And Chris, who's really called Trisha, and Annie, who's really called Angie, come up with the idea of doing a nude calendar, and ropes in all the ladies of the WI to do it with them to raise money for this city. Especially for back in the day when they actually did do it, it was rather racy. And they ended up actually, I think to date, it's £6 million that they have raised. And they've put on a new unit onto the hospital, not just the city. They've actually, paid for a new wing on the hospital, as it were. So, it's a really wonderful, true story. So,
And I mean,
it's really, I mean, the show. We take you on a bit of a journey. We make you laugh, make you cry, we make you care about the characters, but ultimately it's extremely uplifting at the end. And I can't remember a time when we haven't had like a standing ovation, because people are just, it's joyous towards the end, and what people can achieve if they put their mind to it and did something different.
one of the big things, obviously, in the play is that you do have to take your clothes off. Obviously, things are placed in convenient places. But
Yeah.
what was that? Is that scary? What's that like?
No, but not for me. I mean, yeah, it's I mean, when you've been in the industry a long time, like I have, I'm very old now. It's you're changing side stage, and crew members are walking around, and when you're on theatre, or it's never been an issue really. That wasn't the issue. The issue was the singing after 20 years of not singing. So that was what terrified me. But no, it's so well choreographed, and as I say, yeah, that's not it wasn't a big problem for me. I know for other people it was, but I said as well, in our previous interview, that whenever I'm with the Nolan sister, I get my gear off. So it's quite bizarre.
So yeah, so tell us who else is in the show with you, because you've got a great cast this time round.
Yes, Samantha Seagar, she plays Chris, my sort of, we're a double act really. It's all about their friendship really. That's the centre of the story. And we've got Lynn Paul and Maureen Nolan, Honeysuckle Weeks, Helen Pearson, Liz Carney. Yeah, loads of great women in the show. I hope I haven't missed anybody out. and the guys that, you know, Colin Campbell, who plays John, my husband, and Andrew, who plays Chris's husband. It's just a lovely bunch of people, and there's no egos, and there's no, you know, we're all, you know, but none of us are young. I'm one of the youngest in the cast, which is quite different now for me. Um, so it's a real camaraderie, and I think that really comes across. I think we're all very experienced people, and we all just really, really respect the story and the truth of it all.
And obviously, the show's going all around the country. I mean, obviously, you're going to be at the Aylesbury Waterside Theatre. You're also going to be going to the Theatre Royal in Windsor. I mean, when you get to go around the country, that must be quite good fun, getting to see places you maybe haven't been to. But it must also be quite hard work. You know, you're constantly on the move. So how do you find it?
I mean, on this particular show, we don't really have a lot of time to see venues, but I've toured so many times. I mean, I've kind of seen most of the country. You're absolutely right. But yeah, it's tough. You know, touring's tough. It really is, and it's hard being, for me personally. It's hard being away from my daughter, who's only 12. But one of the reasons I did actually take this show was that we have Sundays and Mondays off, so I can get home to see her most weekends. I think there's only 2 venues that I haven't been able to do that with, because that's really important to me. It's at such an important age for her. So, you know, that was one of the reasons. But we've got, so therefore, because we don't have a show on a Monday, we have 3 matinee days on this particular gig. And it's, yeah, you just really don't have much time to do anything apart from the show and travel and eat sometimes.
I mean, you know, we were saying about, you know, how the show's sort of been turned into the musical, and getting to sing again. You say obviously that's quite daunting. I mean, for you, when you get the chance to sing, I mean, what's that like, singing on stage in front of an audience? I mean, I've never done it myself. I don't think I would want to risk it, but that must be so exhilarating, and just kind of getting the feel from the audience, and they must be a big influence and a big help when you're on stage.
Well, the songs that I sing are very emotional songs. So it's really up to me. I mean, there's obviously there's light and shade with other characters. There's some great songs from other characters as well, which are much more uplifting than mine. But yeah, I mean, now that I've kind of got it under my, you know, the voice is coming back, and because that took a few weeks, and I really have to thank Jordan Alexander, the musical director, for really helping me through that. But once it's back, it's back. Well, I'm sounding a bit croaky today because I'm a bit tired, but yeah, it is exhilarating. It's like dance, you know. I started out as a dancer, and dance is like flying. I mean, there is nothing like it. And singing is a heightened form of speech. So, you know, it is, and it's very good for you. Also, I think it's very therapeutic, singing. And I don't think anybody should say, "Oh, I don't sing because I'm not a singer." It doesn't matter how you sound; it's how it makes you feel. It makes you feel really alive. So I'd urge anyone to have a bash in the shower. I think it's good for the soul.
Completely, I completely agree with you there. Now, obviously, you've done TV, you've done theatre. For you, is there a favourite, or do you love the fact that you get to do both? You get to kind of, you know, you can go on one project and then, you know, on
Mm,
TV and then do theatre.
Um, I mean, I love both. I started out in theatre when, you know, I first stepped onto a stage when I was 5. So I feel very at home in the theatre. But I do love the buzz of filming, especially if you're filming on a tight schedule and you've just, you know, I love that buzz of that as well. It's just they're very different things, but yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's nice that I've got to a point where I can, as you say, you know, move from one to the other. Because you know, variety is the spice of life.
And I know
And
I was talking to one actor once who actually said that the great thing is you can do the TV, that gets you the notoriety, which then can quite often fund the theatre work because obviously it gets the audiences in. So do you
yeah,
find that works for you?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, especially post COVID and all of that, our industry took the biggest of hits, and just to get people back into the theatre is wonderful. And if, you know, if they say, "Oh, let's go along and see that bird from the telly," then so be it. um yeah, I mean, I think theatre was crucial to life. I think Winston Churchill said, "If we're not fighting for the arts, what the hell are we fighting for?" Which is rather different to this government, but I won't go there.
Now, obviously, people will know you from EastEnders and will know you from Waterloo Road and programs like that. And I mean, do you like it? Do you quite enjoy it when people will go like, "Oh, how's Jane?" Or well, sort of referring to your characters from TV, or does that get a bit tiresome after a while?
I think it freaked me out for years, and now it's just part of the gig. I'm forever grateful to EastEnders and Waterloo Road and other stuff that I've done on telly. That I just love to work. I love it. It's my therapy. During COVID, I almost lost my mind because I just wasn't being creative, and so no, it's a privilege that people think of you like that and take you to your hearts. It's only, if people are nice to me, I'm nice to them. If people are rude, and which people can be, then I'm quite rude back. So, at the end of the day, I'm just a human being. And if, and that's the way I just roll with it. And most people are lovely, to be fair.
And we've obviously recently seen Adam Woodjet back on EastEnders, so I have to ask, so apologies in advance, but would you ever go back as Jane? Especially now that Michelle Collins is back playing Cindy. Would you love to see that triangle?
Um, Maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure if Jane's run if there's space for her anymore. And who knows? I mean, it's a never say never thing, isn't it? I mean, it all depends on who's producer and what's happening and the dynamic. I mean, I do think that people loved Ian and Jane together. Um, and but it's a new chapter in the Beales' life. So I don't know. As I say never. I'm not saying that I would never go back. I love the place. I love filming there. I love everyone that works there. Um, but for me at the moment, my life is much better, as in quality of life and work-life balance, the way it is now.
Now we are short of time, so this will be the final thing. But I just wanted to ask you a bit about the NHS because obviously, we're going out in the Royal Berks in Reading. What's your
Mm.
opinion of the NHS, the amazing NHS we've got, and what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are they should be funded a lot more. I think it's a disgrace that junior doctors are paid less than, what is it, train drivers or what have you. I am completely behind the NHS. I had a procedure of my own cancelled a few weeks back because of the doctor's strike. I completely back it. I think it's obscene that the government got us to be battering pots and pans and clapping for the NHS for people that were saving our lives during COVID, and then now it's like, oh, well, we don't have the money for this, we don't have the money for that, but they do have the money for all sorts of other people. I won't be political too much because I can be, and I really, PPE and who got money for that, etc., etc. So I am a massive fan of the NHS.
And what would you say to any of the amazing staff who are working in the hospitals, and also to the patients who are currently stuck in hospital at the moment?
I think to the patients that are stuck in hospital at the moment, it might seem tough sometimes, but these guys are doing their best under the most enormous amount of pressure, underfunded, understaffed, and they are angels without wings. They really are. To go into a profession of that nature, you've got to be a special type of person.
Now, I just want to say, Laura, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Of course, people should go and get their tickets to come and see you in Calendar Girls,
Yay!
the musical. It's like I said, in Aylesbury. It's going to be in Windsor. It's going to be all over the country. So, check out the website.
Woking, Crawley, yeah.
So, yeah, get your tickets. Go and see Laurie and the gang. And thank you, Laurie, for giving up your time.
Your absolute pleasure. The pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much.